Wait, hey everyone, I just wanted to say a couple of things here real quick. The VGM DJ set is now 1 year old, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, with a special shout out to my top patrons, whose names you're seeing somewhere. But I also want to say a huge thank you to everyone that supported me this year, everyone who shared the videos and the channel, helping it grow little by little, everyone who commented, and I got such nice heartfelt comments. Yeah, it just makes me very happy. Also, an enormous thanks to all of my patrons. I'm able to pay my bills now with these videos, which is absolutely insane. So really thank you so much. Also, another shout out to Ryan Burleson and Dr. Nyman for sending some awesome VGM vinyls over here. If you want to send me some presents as well, let me know. Especially if it's a video card, I'll pay you for the video card actually, because goddamn. Last year around this time I made a top favorite game soundtracks of the year video. Let me know if you'd like to see another one of those, or if you just want to see me finish the next mix as fast as possible. That is all. Thank you so much, and happy holidays everybody.